This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast with Mike Kinnett and Ryan Herbert of ProStatus Financial, now celebrating 20 years helping families build successful retirements and lasting family legacies. Mike is a financial planner and estate planning attorney with a master's degree in tax and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. Ryan is a 5-star Wealth Management Award winner and top-ranked financial advisor by Forbes. Now, the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast.
Well, thank you for joining us here on the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. Lots to talk with you about today. What's the best investment for a retired person, especially in an election year? Also, how much is your pension worth? Do you even know? And will it be enough to retire on if you are planning on retiring from the federal government? And this is the kicker here. Is saving too much for retirement going to get you in tax trouble? Well, that's why the guys are here. Ryan Herbert, and today joining us is Lawrence Kiely, both from ProStatus Financial. Guys, how are you? It's great to see you both.
You know, I'm doing wonderful, aside from the embarrassment that was last weekend in the Ravens game. But, you know, I've gotten over it, and now my daughters and wife are excited to see the Taylor Swift show in 2 weeks here.
Is that how you guys pivoted?
You know, they just wanted to see her on TV. My wife, maybe when Travis Kelce scored that first touchdown, my wife made me rewind it because she wasn't paying attention, just so she could see that shot of Taylor Swift celebrating in that box.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I saw this past week on social media. Taylor Swift has generated an equivalent brand value of $331.5 million for the Chiefs and the NFL. And that amount includes TV, highlights, social media, print, digital, and again, going back to the first Swift Chiefs game, I guess, is that the way to do it?
So you're telling me it is all rigged?
Yeah, that's why they changed
Well, I don't necessarily know that it's rigged. I just know that after the NFL getting hammered a couple years back, they are loving this because she's bringing people back. She's bringing
a new audience to it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, man, I am not a hater.
What's going to happen when they break up? When she writes that terrible song about him? Oh, that's going to be awful.
Man, those are questions that I don't have answers. I see Lawrence laughing there. Lawrence, you, of course, saw the game too, but are you a little bit of a Swiftie or
no,
would you rather?
I'm not a Swiftie at all. So, yeah, I'm just ready for the Usher show at Super Bowl.
All right.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, good enough. So we'll see what happens at the Super Bowl. And we'll see what happens with the Taylor Swift show. We'll see what happens there. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining us. We are going to talk about retirement because for the past 20 years, Mike Kinnett, Ryan Herbert, and the team, including Lawrence Kiely at ProStatus, have been helping you grow, keep, and distribute your wealth in the most tax-efficient manner possible. We've got a great opportunity for you to sit down with the guys and get your tax situation worked on today. So it brings me to this. Can saving too much for retirement get you into tax trouble? Believe it or not, study shows that it happens often when you compound, with how much we have saved. You guys always say that people do a great job of saving, but you compound that with multiple income, Social Security, perhaps a rental property, so on and so forth, and you've done a very good job of saving, but Uncle Sam comes knocking. So, Ryan, the question is, can we save too much for retirement?
It's not that you can save too much money for retirement. It's more the fact that you can save too much money improperly. And, what I really mean by that is inside of your 401k, your TSP, your 403b, your 401a, whatever variation of retirement plan you have where you're putting in pre-tax dollars into this plan, well, if you've been doing it for 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years, you've had a silent partner in those accounts all this time, and that's the IRS. So if you've been thinking to yourself, I want to have $1 million inside of my 401k, $2 million, whatever that number is, $1 million kind of seems to be the constant number that people want to have. Well, in reality, you only have $750,000 because the IRS owns 25% of that account. So it's not as if you can save too much money. It's not one of those too much of a good thing is bad. You've done a great job of dedicating yourself and putting money away every single week, every single month, every single year into these accounts and trying to grow the money. You've taken on all that risk. It's just now's the time to think about how much of this money am I going to be using in retirement? How much of this money am I going to be leaving behind to my kids? And how can I make those two numbers as tax efficient as possible? And if you've listened to our radio program, ever since they passed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act back in 2018, Mike and I have been talking about Roth conversion, the importance of Roth conversion, because there is a point at some time where you're going to have to start paying the taxes. If you're lucky enough that you have a pension, and with pensions and Social Securities, it covers your income needs. Well, the government has that magical date that says, oh, hey, it's time to start taking this money out and paying tax on it. And by doing Roth conversion, putting a plan in place for Roth conversion, what we're talking about doing is paying the tax now for the next 2 years, at least at this point, or however you want to phrase this. For 2024 and 2025, we still are at the lowest tax rates we've seen since the Reagan era. And what we're talking about doing is taking the money out of your IRAs, paying the tax on it now, and putting it in those Roth accounts. That way, any money you ever take from it in the future becomes tax-free, your earnings become tax-free, and then most importantly, you're avoiding having that RMD at age 73 or 75 or whatever they change the laws to the next time around. But it's all about having enough money for retirement, but doing it as smartly and as tax efficiently as possible. And if you want to find out more about what this really looks like, if your financial advisor is not talking to you about Roth conversions, if your tax person is not talking to you about Roth conversions and what is going to happen to your retirement plan, I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with Mike, myself, Lawrence, and our team here at ProStatus, and we'll put together your very own comprehensive tax planning analysis and Roth conversion analysis.
Again, that's 866-597-1040 and online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Front page, you can click on the tax analysis button, and that'll get you with Mike, with Ryan, with Lawrence, and the team at ProStatus, ready to help you make those tax conversations. That way you can do it as tax efficiently as possible. Again, next 5 radio callers that have saved $500,000 or more for retirement. Congratulations, you have done a great job of saving. Now call ProStatus and make sure, again, you're doing it the most tax efficient manner possible. 866-597-1040 and online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Mike Kiely is a financial planner and estate planning attorney with a master's degree in tax and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. Ryan Herbert, financial and tax planner. He is also a 5-star Wealth Management Award winner. Lawrence Kiely, he is a financial planner with ProStatus. So you got a team behind you. And here's where I want to go next, guys, because we just heard you say that Roth is seemingly the way to go. What you're not saying, though, is just go ahead and convert everything over to Roth, because that's not right, too. It depends on your situation. And this is all a delicate balance, which brings me to Mike's book, Nothing is Certain But Death and Taxes, where you guys say, how can a person provide investment advice without actually understanding the tax implications on that advice? So this Roth thing sounds easy, but it's not, because it really is a delicate math equation based on your specific situation. Lawrence, you guys encounter this a lot where people say, hey, I don't know what to do here. I just know that I need help with my taxes.
Yeah, so one of the things we look at when discussing Roth conversions is we want to look at the income you have coming in. So we're going to look at your current income, W-2s. We're going to look at the tax return. We're going to see if there's any rental income, if you've elected Social Security, really all sources of income to see what tax bracket you're currently in. And then the goal on an annual basis is to take you to that top of that tax bracket, so we're not taking you into the next one. So we want to look at the income we have that we can fit into there to do the Roth conversion. And then we do an analysis on how much that's going to cost you in taxes. And then we look at it over a certain amount of years to see what makes the most sense and how we can do it to be as tax efficient as possible in moving over as much of that qualified pre-tax money into those Roth accounts.
I like the way you said that.
And it's really a matter of, like you said, Mike, as Lawrence was describing, there's factors involved. So the question of being that some people do ask when they come in and they sit down with Lawrence and myself is, well, if Roth conversions make such sense, why don't I just do it all right now? Let me just convert, I've got $600,000 in my IRA. Let me just do it all right now. And what Lawrence is describing is by doing that, all of a sudden you're taking this strategic plan that Lawrence and myself and our team here at ProStatus has created for you, and just kind of thrown a grenade into it and said, I'm in the 22% tax bracket. You're trying to make sure that I don't pay more than 22% taxes overall. So if you took all $600,000 and dropped it on your tax return, you're jumping up 2-3 tax brackets. So now instead of paying 22%, you're paying 27 or 28, and that's not the most tax advantageous thing for you. You want to make sure that we're targeting a certain amount so that it makes sense for you financially. Because in the long run, you want to make sure that, in the comparison that Lawrence and myself and our team here run, what we're showing you is by doing nothing, doing no conversions at all, leaving the money the way it is, retiring the way you want, here's the amount of taxes that you're going to pay. By working that delicate balance that Lawrence was describing, here's how much money you're going to pay by doing Roth conversions. While yes, we're going to make you pay more money in taxes now than you otherwise would, but the overall goal of what we're trying to do is trying to avoid that RMD in the future. And Lawrence likes to call it a tax ticking time bomb because basically, for some people who are fortunate enough to have pensions or you have rental income and you have Social Security, your expenses are covered by those sources of income. I'm spending $5,000 a month and I have $6,000 a month coming in from these types of accounts. I have all this money in my IRA. I've been that saver. I wanted to hit that $1 million. But when Lawrence and I sit down with these clients, and it happens frequently, just last week we were sitting down with somebody and they'd saved about $4 million for retirement, but between his and her pension and their Social Security, they had more than enough money to meet their needs. So all of this money was just going to sit in these pre-tax accounts and grow and grow and grow. There was not really a plan for them to take money out because they were very, very conservative in their spending, as they like to say. They didn't do anything extravagant. They didn't have a goal of buying an RV and driving across the country. They didn't want to buy a yacht or Maseratis or anything expensive. So all of this money was just going to sit in these accounts and grow and eventually go to their kids. Well, when Lawrence and I were sitting down going over the plan, he was pointing out to me that, Ryan, if they're not careful, once they reach age 75, their taxes are going to jump up by about $80,000 a year and then continue every single year from that point forward, just because the government says, hey, we've been your silent partner all these years. We want our share of the money. Start taking it out. So the plan that Lawrence and I came up with for them was to start doing these conversions, taking this $4 million out over an 8-year period, a very specific amount over that time frame. So that way, by the time we got them to age 75, all of that money was out of those IRA accounts and into those Roth IRAs, and the RMDs didn't matter. So we avoided that tax time bomb. And for them, over their lifetime, I want to say we were going to be saving them like $2.2 million in federal and state income tax. But then to take it a step further, because their goal of their money was to leave this money behind to their kids, we were saving the kids another $2.5 million on top of that, just for them for the right to receive it. And, I know what some people are thinking. I didn't save all this time. I didn't put money away all this time so that my kids can roll up to my funerals in brand new Corvettes. But, you also didn't save this money so that at the end of it, the government can get a bigger share than they should. And that is the true importance of tax planning. That's the importance of working with advisors and tax professionals that have your best interests in mind, because everything we do in the investment world, everything you do when it comes to your income and retirement, everything has a tax consequence. And that is what our tax planning analysis and Roth conversion strategy will show you. How much taxes you're going to pay by doing nothing and how much money we can save you over your lifetime and then save the kids on their lifetime as well. But all of that starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sitting down with Mike, myself, Lawrence, and our team here at ProStatus. For the next 5 callers that have saved $500,000 or more, we're going to give you our tax planning analysis and Roth conversion strategy absolutely complimentary. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
There you have it, 866-597-1040. We'll give you a few minutes, you savvy investors, to call in and schedule that time with Mike, with Ryan, with Lawrence, and the team at ProStatus. You can also go online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Again, that's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Front page, click on the tax analysis button and get started today. We have got teammates standing by right now to take your call, or again, you can go online to thesavvyinvestorradio.com and schedule your time with Ryan, with Mike and Lawrence and the team at ProStatus. You know, you said something there that really sparked a nerve for me, is that these tax consequences, you know, we're told to save and save and save and just, I guess, kick the can down the road is what I hear from you guys, that, you know, your money's going to compound over time, and that's great. But that money compounding is also going to equate to taxes compounding. And guys, when we go to take this money out, if we don't do anything, it's really when we are in retirement and we're at our most vulnerable, because we can't go back to work. We're spending more money than we thought we were. And if we don't do anything about it and that money goes to our kids, like you said, Ryan, you know, a lot of people don't want their kids driving up in a brand new car or whatever that is. But if you don't do anything, they're also going to take a massive tax hit on that money that they get inherited.
The thing that people always think about is, you know, I'm putting money in my 401k, I'm putting money in my 403b, and I'm doing it pre-tax. Mm-hmm. I'm saving money on taxes now because we tend to be very short-sighted in that nature. I want to save as much money as I possibly can right now. That way I'm better off in retirement. So if I'm saving money for my retirement and I'm also saving money in taxes, that's got to be the best thing for me. But, you know, it truly is counterintuitive because there is no magical age at which taxes don't apply to you. There is Social Security is taxable to you. You know, think about everything that the government has been doing, you know, Republicans and Democrats alike. You want to talk about kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, right.
You know, just pushing spending. Taxes have to go up in the future. Retirement does not last 5-10 years for you. Retirement is 20, 30, 40 years of your life. Over the next 30 or 40 years, taxes are going to go up. So why not have your money as tax efficient as it can be in the future? That way, when those unexpected things happen in life, you need to take money out to buy a car. You want to take money out to buy that vacation home. Well, if it's all tax-free, it has no impact on your tax return. It doesn't impact your Medicare. It doesn't impact your Social Security. It doesn't impact your taxes. Having tax-efficient money, you know, Mike likes to say that the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. Well, then the ninth wonder of the world is tax-free money. As much money as we can get over into tax-free accounts at this time, that is the goal of every single retirement plan that Mike, myself, and Lawrence and our team here at ProStatus put together for our clients.
You have done a great job of saving, and don't think, hey, I don't want to save too much because I'm going to take a tax hit. It's not how much you saved, it's how you saved and where you saved your money. I cut you off, Ryan. You were going to invite our savvy investor listeners to call in.
All this really starts, you know, having these conversations, sitting down with someone who's going to walk you through the steps of here's what Roth conversion looks like for you. Here's how much money you can save with taxes. All starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
866-597-1040. Again, that's 866-597-1040 for your complimentary retirement plan, whether it's the income analysis, whether it's the federal benefits review. To get in touch with Mike Kiely, with Ryan Herbert, with Lawrence Kiely, and the team at ProStatus and here on The Savvy Investor. And you can always go online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Again, that's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. So this year, more than 12,000 people will turn 65 each year. Happy birthday. A lot of you are going to be retiring. Add that presidential election year, and it is going to be a very crazy year. But we hear this all the time. So the question is, Ryan, for retirement savers who are in the market, how will our money be impacted in 2024 as you see it? You used to have a crystal ball. It broke, but you've got a lot of experience with this. How do you see this year playing out? Should we be nervous with the election and stocks?
I mean, Lawrence's kids haven't come into the office yet, so I think his crystal ball still works. They haven't knocked it off his desk.
Lawrence, I see you there, man. You're laughing, but you know that's the truth, man. Everybody thinks they've got a crystal ball.
You know, it's going to be volatile. You know, you use the word crazy. You know, that's a polite way of saying that there's going to be, you know, a very volatile market
Because I think we've jumped the shark. I think at this point it's crazy. If you turn on the news, you hear what's happening. Anyway, I think a lot of people are upset about that and are very nervous.
Well, I mean, you turn on the news, you hear about how Taylor Swift she's leaving Japan and she'll make it to the Super Bowl in time. That's what I'm
really nervous about.
Yeah, that's the big news. But, if you're really thinking about retirement this year, or, you're turning 65 and you're planning on, I want to retire January 1st of 2025, or I want to retire in the next 2 or 3 years, you're so close to retirement that having a volatile market where we see wild swings in the market, just like we saw in 2023, where the first half of the year did well, and then the stock market fell off 15, 18%, and then it came back, that's not a comforting feeling to have those wild swings when I'm 2-3 years out from retirement, or when I just retired, because I want to make sure that my money is as safe and secure as possible. And being an election year, it really kind of is unpredictable. Historically speaking, whenever we have election time, whenever we have a change in party, whether we go from Democrat to Republican or Republican to Democrat, does not matter either way. Historically speaking, we normally have a nice run up in the market whenever that happens. We saw it when we went from Obama to Trump. We had a really nice run up in the market, and then he put his tax plan in place, and then the stock market kind of just continued on from there. And then the same thing when Biden was elected, we saw, it's called a dead cat bounce, which is normally what happens. The market jumps up and then it kind of falls back down. If Trump is the presidential nominee for the Republicans, and if he happens to win, we don't really know what's going to happen because he's so different than anything we've seen before. But, the important part of retirement planning is having that plan in place, because I don't have a crystal ball. Candidly, Lawrence doesn't have one either. We don't really know what's going to happen in the market other than what history has shown is going to happen. So the very important thing is that if you're 5 years out from retirement, 10 years out from retirement, or if you want to retire tomorrow, you want to make sure you have that written financial plan down that has that very important income plan aspect to it, because, you want to make sure that your sources of income are as guaranteed as possible, or as close to guaranteed as possible. You're going to get Social Security. Pretty much everybody gets Social Security, and then that's backed by the federal government, and they'll just print more money. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, that's pretty close to guaranteed. So when it comes to that third leg of your stool in retirement, where is my money coming from in retirement? You want to make sure it's guaranteed as possible, because having a true income plan in place means that if the stock market goes up 20%, I have the income that I need every single month for clothes on my back, food on the table, roof over my head, whatever it is I'm spending my money on. If the stock market drops 20%, I have the money for the food on my table, the clothes on my back, roof over my head every single month, no matter what happens in the stock market. That is the most important aspect of a financial plan, is making sure that income is as safe and secure as possible. That's not having my money out there in the market and saying, as long as the stock market averages 6 to 8% over time, you'll be fine. Or as long as we can get, a dividend rate of 4 or 5% over time, you'll be fine. And if those are the types of conversations that you're having with your financial advisor, when you're asking them about what's our plan for me to retire, how are we creating that income, and we're talking about dividends, or we're talking about the stock market over time, or statistically speaking, I encourage you to give us a call, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with Mike, myself, and Lawrence and get that second opinion on your retirement plan. Find out how we can create those income streams that are as close to guaranteed as possible. That way the stock market goes up 20%, I have the income I need. Stock market drops 20%, you have the income you need. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with our team here and we'll put together your very own comprehensive retirement plan. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
And get all that done under one roof. Retirement planning A to Z at ProStatus. Again, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Front page there, you can click on the 401k portfolio. You can click on the income analyzer, whatever need you are wanting for retirement, they can take care of you right there on the front page of thesavvyinvestorradio.com. And again, you can always call 866-597-1040. Again, that's 866-597-1040. What's that conversation like when people come in, especially this year? Are you guys starting to see people worried about that? I mean, your existing clients that have a plan, they're in a better position of peace, but for families that are coming to see you for the first time, is that one of their big concerns? Hey, we want to retire this year. There's an election happening and we're nervous.
This time of year, it's two very different conversations that I'm having. Like you said, I'm seeing my existing clients. We're doing reviews. We're talking about their investments. We're kind of leading into tax time for them. And that's truly where we're focused. The majority of our conversation is, all right, here's what our tax plan is, that we had for last year. Here's kind of the way it goes. And the conversation about the stock market, the conversation about the election, that really kind of is, a 2 or 3 minute conversation, because that's really not what our clients are focused on, because they know that we have put together this income plan that takes that volatility of the stock market out of that retirement plan. And those are really fun conversations for me to have, because it's, all right, here's what we did. Here's where your money's coming from. Now let's focus on the tax aspect of it. Let's focus on saving that money. But then, as you said, people that are coming in from the radio show, they're coming in from finding us on social media, they're coming to our workshops, they're coming to our dinner seminars. Their biggest concern is, the same concern that everybody has is, do I have enough money for retirement? And then how do I make sure that it lasts? And the other part to that people always ask me is, what do you think about the stock market this year? What do you think about the election? Kind of like I said, I give them, here's what historically has happened. So if we follow history, here's kind of what I think is going to happen. But, just because past performance shows me one thing doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. But those conversations are much more stress-filled, much more worry-filled, because they're going into retirement. You're approaching retirement. You're close to retirement, of having this big unknown. I don't know where my income's going to come from. I'm not sure if I have saved enough money for retirement. I'm not sure how my portfolio, how my investments are going to fare if X, Y, or Z happens in the stock market. And that's the job of Lawrence and myself, is to show them, all right, here's when you said you wanted to retire. Here's how much money you set aside for retirement. Here's how much you said you wanted to have for retirement. Here are the various ways we can create those income streams for you. And here's the pros and cons of each of those methods. And by using one of these methods, we're taking all of that stress off the table, because the number one job for Lawrence and myself and our team here is to make sure no matter what happens, you have the income that you need. So if you've saved $1 million for retirement, if you save $500,000 for retirement, however much of that money we need to use to guarantee those income streams in retirement, that's what we do. Then everything else that you're not using, let's say we take half of that money and use it for income. The other half of your money, well, that money can be as aggressive as you want it to be. It can be out there in the stock market. It can go up with the stock market. It can go down with the stock market. Because if the stock market drops on that money and you lose 20%,
that's not
well,
good.
You're not happy about it, but it doesn't impact my day-to-day living in retirement. It doesn't impact my income in retirement. Most importantly, if you're a few years out from retirement, it doesn't change when you're going to retire, because we put that plan in place that says, no matter what happens, I'm going to retire January 1st, 2025, or whatever that date is. And that really kind of is this, Lawrence and I see it a lot, this weight coming off people's shoulders in the office of knowing that, I've finally gotten the answers. Someone has finally sat down with me and shown me exactly where my income's going to come from in retirement and how I can protect this nest egg that I've worked so hard and saved so long to achieve. But that all started by these people giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 597-1040. And they sit down and we go over our 401k x-ray where we're showing you the fees that you're paying, the risks that you're taking. We're doing that portfolio protection plan, showing you here's how we can make the income as safe as possible and give you that added peace of mind in retirement of knowing no matter what happens in the market, I can retire when I want with the income that I want to have in retirement. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
This year, 12,000 people will turn 65, which means a lot of us are going to be retiring. But the concern still remains, number one, and that is not running out of money in retirement and making sure that you have a plan and you can get started today. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Savvy Investors will give you some time to call in. Teammates are standing by right now to take your call and put you on the calendar with Mike Kiely, with Ryan Herbert, with Lawrence Kiely, and the team, because that's what you get at Pro Status. You get a team that helps you to and through retirement at Pro Status. Again, that's 866-597-1040 and online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Front page, you can find the tax analysis button. You can find the portfolio x-ray, the income analyzer, what you need to help you retire. Front page at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. We also want to remind you about the podcast. You can share this with your friends wherever they may be on demand. If you have a friend maybe down in Florida, maybe out west somewhere that's having questions about retirement, simply share the Savvy Investor podcast with them. Also invite them to our YouTube page. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends as well. We want you to get this great information wherever you are or wherever your friends and family may be as well. Guys, great segment, great show as always. Ryan Herbert, Lawrence Kiely, appreciate you guys. But as always, the two of you get the final word.
This is Lawrence Kiely. Thanks for listening to the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast.
And this is Ryan Herbert. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.